Hey, I'm finally getting around to doing my third night of my trip from October here, and it's because I lost my voice completely at the end of my trip and for many days after I got home due to, well, just using my voice a lot at Disney World, but I had a cold that I had gotten before I left for the trip and from my daughter. And yes, it's not COVID. I got tested the second I got home, and I already knew that she didn't have COVID because we had to get her tested twice the week before I left. So I'm sorry about the delay. There's two things I really want to speak to about the trip. And the first is Harmonious. So the last time I did our trip report, we were at Epcot kind of awaiting that nighttime show. And the show now, at least the day we were there, started at 9:45. I believe that's going to be the standard time for the nighttime entertainment at Epcot if the park hours, if it closes at 10. And we saw people staking out their spots at 8:30, so an hour and 15 minutes before the show. That is completely unnecessary at Epcot. I mean, you can see the show from anywhere around World Showcase Lagoon. People were staking out their spots kind of, if you're looking at the where the American Adventure Pavilion is, looking back out towards Spaceship Earth, like at that pavilion where there's music, to the left of it, there were tons of people staking out their spots so early. And again, I don't know if they read it on Instagram that was the spot to watch it, but completely unnecessary. We got a spot 15 minutes before the show started, kind of by Canada Pavilion, almost in between Canada and the UK. And we had a completely clear view of the show. We saw everything, all aspects of it. So that's my first piece of advice. Next, it is a long show. It is over 20 minutes long. It's the longest nighttime entertainment show I have seen at Disney World ever. That is good. I have to give my impression of it. I just didn't like it. I rarely am just totally negative about something at Disney World, but I don't know if it's because I held Illuminations in such high esteem, or if I feel like it's just continuing a trend that I've noticed with entertainment at Disney World where they're kind of playing to the lowest common denominator. I hate to say that, but just basically flash, bang, as much light and flashing as possible, and not really having that element of storytelling that I look to at Disney World. Of course, it's fireworks, it's flashy, it's impressive, it's definitely impressive. And as we were walking out of the park, I heard just people raving about it and saying, wow, wasn't that so amazing? It's so flashy and bright. And I don't want to give any spoilers about the show at all and even tell you what to look for, anything about it. But just that, to me, it was lacking the emotional connection that I felt with Illuminations. And I know I'm not the only one, because I did hear other people saying that earlier in the day that they were disappointed with Harmonious. And I just didn't feel the storytelling was there. I didn't feel like the emotion, I felt Illuminations such an emotional story, and I just didn't feel it with Harmonious. That said, it will entertain you. I mean, it's bright and flashy and fun. The other thing I want to say is, we were staying at Riviera, which is on the Skyliner, and my friend Kelly thought, maybe we should start walking towards it a few minutes before the show ends. And I was before the show started, I thought, oh no, I want to see the whole thing. But when it was starting, I could feel it was starting to wrap up. I was like, I am fine. Let's just start walking, because I didn't really care to see the ending of it. So that was a really good idea, because we were some of the first people, we hit the International Gateway Bridge to the Skyliner right as the show ended. So we were some of the first people to get on the Skyliner. We walked right up and walked right on. By the time that we were flying up over and exiting Epcot, I saw the line snaking out of the Skyliner stop and down the pathway towards the boardwalk. And I thought, oh my gosh, a few minutes really makes a difference when it comes to exiting that show. And I'm thinking about people who were on the other side of the lagoon, maybe watching it from Mexico or somewhere like that. By the time they get to the Skyliner, that's going to add 45 minutes to their night. So I would say if you're staying at a Skyliner resort, plan to watch it from as close as you can to the International Gateway so that you are not standing in line to ride the Skyliner for 45 minutes at the end of your night. When you are just fried, you want to get back to the hotel, it's over. Like sacrificing 2 minutes of the end of that show is worth it for the 45 minutes sooner you'll get back to your hotel room. So that is my tip about that. And the other thing I want to talk to is Riviera Resort. And it's one of the few resorts I hadn't stayed at yet at Disney World. And in general, I've kind of not, I'm hard to impress at Disney World at this point, having been there so many times, stayed at almost all the resorts, and it's kind of hard to impress me. I was so impressed with Riviera. I'm raving about it. And I think it is the attention to detail there in terms of the theming. It is just done so well. It's, I might have already said this on an earlier report, but it's themed to the Italian and French Riviera and pulling in all aspects of the culture there and a lot of the art there. And so when you're walking down the hallways, for example, there are, paintings of Disney characters done in the style of like the Impressionists, for example. And so like they're pulling in the theme and making you never forget that you're at Disney World. And that is how to impress me. I want to feel that I'm at a Disney resort. I want it to have unique touches that I wouldn't get at a Hilton, but I want it to be done in a way that's consistent with the theme and really makes me feel like I'm part of the story. And it is just done so well there. So hats off to the Imagineers and people who did the design work there. It's just a gorgeous luxury resort. All of the little like textures and touches there in the rooms and around the resort are just so thoughtfully done. I'm really impressed. It's become one of my favorite things. The food is outstanding there. I mean, everything from the quick service, which I really like, to the table service, which I have eaten at Topolino's Terrace for at least the character meal before. I haven't been back for dinner. The bar is gorgeous. That's down by the pool area. The pools were... I only went to the main pool, but they were both spectacular. The transportation is obviously great, especially if you're going to Epcot. Now, getting to Hollywood Studios is a bit of a challenge because you have to ride the Skyliner over to Caribbean Beach, and then you have to change Skyliners, and that line to get to Hollywood Studios can get really long because it's bringing people from 4 resorts to one stop to get on the Skyliner to go to Hollywood Studios. So I would say plan for extra time to then wait in line again to get on that Skyliner to go to Hollywood Studios and return trip as well. Though it would be definitely less because you're only going back to Riviera at that point, or people who are going to Epcot for some reason. But just the vibe there is so lovely, and the amenities are great. I did go to the gym that next morning before we flew back home, and it was perfect. They have mobile order for the quick service restaurant. So like for breakfast in the morning, I was able to like be in bed and pick out what I wanted for breakfast and then just walk down to the elevator, go right down, pick it up and come back. The only request I believe I made for a room location, we had a standard view room, was to be close to an elevator, and we were really close to the elevator, and we had an Epcot view off the balcony where we could see Spaceship Earth, and at night it's all lit up so gorgeous, and it was amazing. So I was just so happy with our room location and everything about Riviera. So we flew home on Southwest and it was uneventful. Everything went fine. Luckily, we weren't caught up in the delays that happened then that following weekend with Southwest, where they had major cancellations of flights and what have you. But it's just wild times to be traveling still, unfortunately. So thank you so much for listening. And I am planning another trip to Walt Disney World next month. So look for another trip report soon. Bye.